I should have known something was off the night she didn't kiss me back. It was a little thing, honestly. I was leaving for a conference in Chicago, just a 3-day trip. I bent down to kiss her at the door, like I always did, and instead of leaning in, she kind of just stood there. Gave me her cheek. That's the moment I should have known. But I told myself she was distracted, tired. I even laughed about it in the Uber to the airport, shaking it off like it was nothing. Her name's Ashley. We've been married 7 years, no kids yet, though we've talked about it. She's 34, works in HR for a big logistics company, and always liked the stability of our life. I'm an engineer at a mid-size firm. It's not flashy, but I do all right. We live in a modest but cozy home just outside of Raleigh. We split the chores. We meal prep together on Sundays. From the outside looking in, we were the couple everyone said looked solid. And I believed that. I landed in Chicago and dove into 3 days of meetings and networking. At night, I'd text her before bed. She responded, but something was missing. No, I love you. No selfies. Not even a, miss you. Just dry one-liners like, long day, going to bed early. Then came Thursday night, the night before I flew home. I was wrapping up dinner with one of the project leads when I got a text from Ashley. Working late, don't wait up tomorrow morning. That hit weird. She knew I'd be back before 8 a.m. She always made coffee when I came home from work trips. It was our thing. She even joked I liked her coffee more than I liked her. So I called her. She didn't answer. Called again. Nothing. I tried to ignore it. Drank another beer. Went back to my hotel and collapsed. But I couldn't sleep. That's when I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened the Find My app. We had shared our locations years ago when she got lost during a hike, and we just kept it on. I hadn't looked at it in probably 2 years. I watched the little blue dot. It wasn't moving. She was at an address I didn't recognize. A cul-de-sac across town, far from her office. Far from anything, really. I copied the address into Google Maps. It was the home of my boss, Daniel Morgan. CEO. Married. Kids. Worth a few million, easy. I'd been to a few barbecues at his place. Ashley met him and his wife at our Christmas party. That knot in my stomach, that sick, coiling nausea you get when your body knows something your brain won't accept yet, it hit me so hard I had to sit down. My flight landed at 7:43 the next morning. I didn't tell her I was coming. I didn't text. I didn't call. I didn't go home, either. I rented a car, and I drove straight to Daniel Morgan's house. My hands were shaking on the wheel. I didn't even know what I was going to do. Confront them? Just see her car? Prove myself wrong? That's what I hoped for. I wanted to be wrong so bad. When I turned the corner, I saw her car parked in his driveway. Still there. I pulled over down the block. Just stared at it, and I waited. 23 minutes later, they came out. Together. She was in the same clothes she wore on FaceTime 2 nights ago. He kissed her. She kissed him back. My heart didn't break. It clenched. Tight. Quiet. The kind of pain you can't scream out. I watched them say goodbye, her smiling, brushing his shirt like it was hers to touch. Then I started my car and drove off. Not home. Not to work. I went to a coffee shop, sat in a booth by the window, and opened a blank document on my laptop. And I started a list. A revenge list. This wasn't going to be loud. It wasn't going to be fast. But it was going to be clean. And by the time I was done, neither of them would see it coming. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into a cheap motel off I-40, just outside Durham. The room smelled like cigarettes and old carpet, but it had 2 things I needed: silence and time to think. My phone buzzed twice around 9 p.m. It was Ashley. Hey babe, how was the flight? Didn't hear from you this morning. Everything okay? I didn't respond. I just watched the messages sit there like strangers knocking on my door. She thought I was home. Thought I believed whatever lie she'd rehearsed. Maybe something about working late or helping a friend. Maybe she'd even tell me she was sick and just needed to sleep in. What she didn't know was that I had pictures. I'd taken one from the car. Her smiling at Daniel, him with his hand on her back. It wasn't graphic, but it was enough. And I had the address. I had everything I needed to destroy her. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. Not yet. The next day, I went to work like nothing happened. Showered at the motel, changed into a fresh shirt, put on my usual Friday smile. Daniel greeted me in the hallway like always, clapped me on the back, asked how the conference went. I looked him right in the eyes and smiled. Productive, I said. Tiring, but productive. He had no idea. None. You could see it in his posture. In the smug way he leaned against the doorway. The way he looked at people like they were just under him. He never thought someone like me could hurt him. But he'd just handed me the blade. That afternoon, I started my research. I dug through company files I wasn't supposed to have access to, old proposals, contracts, travel records. Daniel was sloppy. Expensed dinners he never listed in the reports. One hotel showed up 3 different times in the past 2 months. Same exact location Ashley's phone had pinged on one of the weekends I was visiting my brother. He'd booked it under a travel alias. Not smart enough. At home, Ashley acted normal. Almost too normal. She hugged me tighter than usual when I finally came back Saturday morning, eyes soft, voice sweet. She offered to cook breakfast and asked if I wanted to binge our favorite show. She even made a move on me that night. I didn't touch her, I just said I was tired. Truth is, I couldn't stand the thought of her fingers on me. I couldn't unsee her kissing another man. The next few weeks were hard. Every morning, I'd kiss her on the cheek like I used to. She'd smile like nothing happened. Every night, I'd sit next to her on the couch, pretending to scroll through my phone, when I was really cataloging her text patterns, watching her expressions, noting when she'd leave the room to take a work call. Her boss's name never came up again. But she was careful now. That told me everything. Daniel started calling on me more during meetings. Said he was impressed with my performance and wanted me to take the lead on a new internal systems overhaul. Wanted me closer to him, in more meetings. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was just strategy. Keep your enemy close when you don't know they're holding a knife behind their back. What he didn't know was that I'd already started digging into his past. Not just work stuff, personal. A buddy of mine in IT owed me a favor. I got access to Daniel's company laptop logs. Saw every time he logged in, every file he opened. A few were marked private, but nothing's private when the head of cybersecurity owes you for helping him cover up a failed server migration. I found emails, not just to Ashley, to other women. He'd been doing this for years. Married, kids, a big house in the hills. And he'd been running his own rotation like it was just part of the job. I saved every email, every timestamp. I created a separate Google Drive, encrypted it, and stored it all there. And then I made a folder titled, Deliver if Needed. I still didn't know what I was going to do with it. But I knew this wasn't just about Ashley anymore. It was bigger than just the betrayal. That night, as I lay next to her, pretending to be asleep while she scrolled through her phone, I realized something. They didn't just break my heart. They underestimated the wrong man. They thought I'd fall apart. Instead, I was becoming the most dangerous version of myself. The man who knew everything and said nothing. And when I finally spoke, it would be the last thing they'd expect. 3 weeks. That's how long I played the fool. Smiled through dinners. Laughed at her jokes. Let her kiss me goodnight like she hadn't kissed another man the night before. It wasn't easy. There were moments I thought about burning the whole thing down. Her, Daniel, the job. Just blowing it all up in one fiery confrontation. But anger makes noise, and noise tips people off. I needed them to feel safe. Like they got away with it. Like they were smarter than me. That's when people stop being careful. And that's when you strike. It started with an invitation. Daniel had a lake house out near Lake Lure. Real nice place, gated property, wraparound deck, the works. Once a year he hosted a company retreat, just department heads and a few favorites from each team. Usually a dozen of us, tops. A weekend of fake team building, way too much bourbon, and Daniel showing off how successful he was. Ashley had been invited once, 2 years ago, when she worked briefly with our corporate wellness team on a campaign. She didn't get invited this year. But I did, and when I told her about it over dinner, I watched her face. Not anger, fear, just for a second. She kept chewing, nodded, smiled. That sounds fun, she said. But her eyes said something else. The retreat was scheduled for a Friday through Sunday. I took Monday off, not because I needed the rest. Because I needed time to act. I packed a small duffel bag, tossed in my shaving kit, a windbreaker, a pair of hiking boots, and something extra. A voice recorder. A keylogger disguised as a USB charger. A flash drive with H. Daniels' private emails saved and ready. Friday afternoon, I arrived at the lake house. Daniel greeted me with that same used car grin he always had. Like a man selling a dream he didn't believe in himself. "Glad you made it," he said, handing me a whiskey. "Wouldn't miss it," I told him, and meant it in a way he couldn't possibly understand. That night, after everyone turned in, I stayed up late pretending to make a call. When the house got quiet, I walked past the guest rooms and straight into Daniel's office. It was locked, of course. But Daniel, in all his arrogance, had the kind of keypad lock you can pick up at Home Depot. A basic model I'd helped a client troubleshoot 2 years ago. 4 guesses later, 1980. His birth year. The lock clicked open. I worked fast. Plugged in the USB charger at his desk, which would start logging every key he typed. Then I opened his laptop, thankfully not password protected, and inserted my flash drive. Copied the last 6 months of email history, browser logs, and calendar entries. He had meetings listed under vague titles: networking lunch, vendor follow-up, and even one that just said, "A usual spot." Ashley. He wasn't even trying anymore. Back home, I processed everything I gathered. And that's when I made the first move. I printed 3 photos, one of him and Ashley kissing in front of his house, one of an email chain where he invited her to a quiet evening at a hotel, and one of him and another woman. One I didn't recognize, taken from his own damn work computer webcam, which he apparently didn't realize had auto-sync on. I mailed them, one to Daniel's wife, one to the board of directors, and one to Ashley. No note, no return address, just the photos, clean, silent. I didn't need to say anything. They would know exactly who sent them. By Wednesday, the fallout had begun. Daniel didn't show up to work. Ashley was quiet at home, jumpy. Her phone buzzed a lot that night. She didn't look at me once during dinner. When I got up to grab a beer from the fridge, she finally spoke. "Did you send something to someone?" I turned around slowly. "About what?" She blinked. I don't know. Something weird happened today." I leaned on the counter. Looked her right in the eyes. "You okay?" She nodded, too quickly. "Yeah, just a strange day." I said, and took a sip. Strange how things can change so fast. Later that night, I lay in bed next to her, listening to her breathe. I didn't feel love anymore. I didn't even feel hate. Just distance, like she was already gone. And soon, she would be. But not before I finished what I started. If there's one thing people like Daniel never expect, it's that the quiet guy in the corner is watching. Waiting. Taking notes. That was me. Always has been. Which is probably why what happened next hit them like a freight train. It was Friday afternoon when Ashley told me we were invited to a small dinner party at the Morgan's house, Daniel's house. That's right. His wife was still playing nice. Ashley looked nervous when she mentioned it, eyes flitting to mine, testing for a reaction. She didn't know I'd already sent the photos. Didn't know I'd already broken the surface of their perfect little illusion. "Do you want to go?" she asked carefully, stirring her tea like her life depended on it. I looked her straight in the eye and smiled. "Sure," I said, "why wouldn't I?" We pulled into Daniel's driveway at 6:58 p.m. sharp. That same circular driveway where I watched her kiss him 3 weeks ago. She adjusted her makeup in the mirror. I adjusted my smile in mine. Inside, it was all fake laughter and forced pleasantries. Daniel's wife, Lauren, played the perfect hostess. Hugged Ashley like they were old college friends. Kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. But her eyes? They never left Daniel. She knew. She just hadn't moved yet. Not everyone detonates immediately. Some people like to watch the fire build. Dinner was formal. Salmon, greens, overpriced wine. The table was set with matching linens and polished silverware. The conversation stayed polite, surface level. But under that calm, I could feel it, the pressure building. Then, halfway through the meal, Lauren set her wineglass down and looked at me. "So, Matt," she said, "Ashley tells me you've been traveling a lot for work." "Yeah," I nodded. "Chicago last month, San Diego the week before that." "That's got to be tough on the marriage," she said. Ashley froze. Daniel's fork paused halfway to his mouth. I smiled. "It is," I said calmly. "But we make it work. Don't we, Ash?" Ashley nodded quickly, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. Lauren turned to Daniel. And you, sweetheart? Been traveling much lately? Daniel cleared his throat. Just the usual stuff. Regional check-ins. Funny, she said, dabbing her mouth with a napkin. Because I could have sworn the last hotel reservation was right here in town. Silence. Not a word. Then Lauren stood, walked out of the room. No tears, no screaming, just left them to rot in their own silence. I kept eating my salmon like it was the best thing I'd ever tasted. Daniel didn't say a word for the rest of the meal. Ashley sat beside me, crumbling slowly, trying to hold her face together. The ride home was silent. She didn't say anything until we pulled into the garage. Did you send her those pictures? I didn't even look at her. Which pictures? She slammed the car door. Don't play games with me, Matt. I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a glass of water. She followed, her voice low and tense. You're trying to ruin me. I finally turned. You ruined yourself the moment you kissed him. That shut her up. She stared at me like I just slapped her. And I hadn't even raised my voice. That night, she slept in the guest room for the first time. She didn't even ask, just grabbed her pillow and left. I lay in our bed, alone, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above me. And for the first time in weeks, I slept like a baby. The next morning, I checked the private Google Drive. There was a new login alert. Someone had tried to access it. Daniel. He must have gone back through his logs and figured out what I'd copied. Maybe even pieced together the anonymous mailing. Too late. I had backups on backups. Printed copies, digital drives, even a package addressed to a journalist in case anything ever happened to me. If he tried to bury it, I'd bury him. But I wasn't done yet. Daniel still had something I needed. And Ashley? She had no idea that her biggest secret was about to be used as leverage in the most public way possible. Because the board of directors? They were meeting next week. And I had something to show them. Daniel always saw himself as untouchable. That kind of power does things to people. They forget how far they've climbed and how hard they can fall. The board meeting was scheduled for Tuesday morning. Quarterly strategy review. I wasn't on the invite list. But I knew someone who was. His name's Greg Tanner, finance director. Older guy, been with the company 15 years, plays it straight. Doesn't like Daniel much, never has. We'd talked a few times over drinks. He once told me that Daniel had ambition bigger than ethics. So I paid Greg a visit Monday afternoon. I handed him a plain manila envelope. What's this? He asked, looking around my office. Insurance, I said, for the company. He raised an eyebrow. Against what? I met his eyes. Against the man running it. Inside that envelope were a printed email chain between Daniel and Ashley, a hotel receipt showing multiple weekend stays under Daniel's company card, marked as vendor meetings, a screenshot of a message to another female employee suggesting they take their next one-on-one off-site. The tone of the message? Far from professional. I didn't include everything, just enough. Greg didn't say a word after he read it. He just nodded once and slid the envelope into his briefcase. I walked out of that room knowing one thing for sure. Daniel's mask was about to slip. Tuesday morning came, and the whole floor buzzed with tension. The board met behind closed doors for nearly 4 hours. By noon, Daniel's door was shut tight. His assistant wouldn't say a word. She looked pale. Greg walked by my desk around 2 p.m., didn't break stride, just whispered as he passed. Nice work. I didn't smile, just nodded. That night, Ashley made dinner like it was any other Tuesday. Chicken stir-fry, her go-to when she didn't feel like trying. I sat at the table, eating slowly, watching her. She hadn't said anything about the guest room since Friday. Just moved back into our bed like nothing happened. I let her pretend everything was still salvageable. But I could see it on her face. The cracks were showing. She knew something was happening. She just didn't know how bad it was going to get. Around 7:40, her phone buzzed. She picked it up fast, turned away from me. I couldn't hear the words, but her posture said it all. Rigid, stiff, fear. She hung up and slowly turned back around. Matt, she said, can we talk? I set my fork down. We're talking. She hesitated. I think I made a mistake. I let that hang in the air a moment. Which one? I asked. There's been a few. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't flinch. I don't know what I was thinking, she said. It didn't mean. I cut her off. Don't insult me. Don't lie to my face. Silence. She swallowed. Are you going to leave me? That was the first honest question she'd asked me in weeks. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, I haven't decided. Which was the truth. Revenge wasn't done cooking yet. The next morning, word spread like wildfire. Daniel had been placed on administrative leave. Some vague company-wide email about an internal investigation and leadership review. But the whispers were louder than the email ever could be. I got called into HR around 11 a.m. Ashley's department, but she wasn't in the room. Instead, it was a corporate attorney and 2 HR reps I didn't know. We'd like to talk about the documentation you submitted regarding Mr. Morgan, the attorney said. I kept my face calm. Of course. They asked questions. I answered carefully, stuck to facts, never mentioned Ashley once, just Daniel's misuse of company funds, his inappropriate emails, the red flags. By the time it ended, I'd done exactly what I needed to do. Buried him, without ever saying her name. Let him fall alone. That night, I walked through the door and found Ashley on the couch, still in her work clothes, eyes puffy. He's gone, she whispered. They put him on leave. I played dumb. Who? She glared at me. You did this. I sat down across from her. No, you did this, I said. I just helped everyone see it. Her face crumbled. You don't understand, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I didn't mean for. No, I cut her off again. You didn't mean to get caught. That's all. She looked down, breathing shallow. Then she whispered something I'll never forget. I think I still love you. And maybe, once, that would have broken me. But now I only felt cold. I think I still love you. When Ashley said that, sitting across from me with her makeup smudged and her eyes swollen, I didn't even blink. Because in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't saying it because it was true. She was saying it because she thought it would save her. But love doesn't save you when you've already set the house on fire. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Ashley kept trying to play it normal, packing my lunch again, texting me midday, leaving little notes on the bathroom mirror like we were still some couple clinging to a cute routine. I didn't throw the notes away. I left them where she put them, unread. That hurt her more. I know because I saw it in her eyes when she found them untouched. Like she was losing her grip. Like the story she was trying to rewrite, about the loyal wife who just lost her way, wasn't getting past the editor. And I wasn't editing her lies anymore. Daniel resigned before the week was over. No statement, no public farewell, just gone. The email came from the board. Effective immediately, Mr. Morgan has stepped down from his position. We thank him for his service. It was over. For him, anyway. Not for Ashley. That Saturday, I finally did something I'd been avoiding. I called her parents. We hadn't spoken in months, not since the holidays. They always loved me, saw me as the steady one, the guy who took care of their daughter. Their golden girl. Her dad answered, friendly at first. Hey, Matt, how's everything? I didn't drag it out. Hey, John, I wanted to call you before you heard it from someone else. I told him the truth. The affair, the cover-up, the lies. I didn't blame her, didn't rage. I just laid it out, clean and clear. No emotion. By the time I finished, he was silent. And then he said, she told us you were pulling away. That you were working too much. That you were distant. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. She said I changed, I replied. She just didn't say it was because I watched her fall in love with someone else. He didn't say much after that. Just that he was sorry. That if I needed anything, I could call. 2 hours later, Ashley's phone rang in the living room while she was doing laundry. I saw the name on the screen. Dad. She stared at it, didn't pick up, just let it ring. And when it stopped, she sat down on the edge of the couch, slowly, like her legs were giving out. She knew the story had changed. And now everyone was reading the truth. I could have left then, packed my bags, filed for divorce, walked away while I still had the upper hand. But that would have been mercy. And she hadn't earned that. Not yet. That night, I told her we needed to talk. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, just like we did the night I proposed, years ago. Only now, there was no ring. No warmth. Just two strangers staring across a battlefield. You've lost your job, I said. Your boss is gone. Your name's being whispered around the office. And your parents know. She nodded slowly. I deserve it. You do, I agreed. But I'm not done. She looked up, eyes wide. I'm filing for divorce, I continued. You'll get your fair share. Nothing more. No house. No alimony. Just the basics. We have no kids, so this doesn't have to be ugly. She blinked. You're serious. Completely. But I thought we were working through it. I actually smiled. You were working through it. I was waiting for the right time to leave. That hit her like a punch to the chest. She stood up, pacing now, hands shaking. You want to humiliate me? No, I said. That already happened. I just want you out of my life. She moved out 2 weeks later. I let her take what she wanted, except the bedroom furniture. I bought that. She didn't fight me, because she'd already lost the real fight. The one in my heart. And that's something you can't win back with apologies and tears. But there was still one more thing to do. One final page in this chapter. And it would be the cruelest mercy I could give her. The morning Ashley moved out, it rained. Not heavy, not dramatic, just a slow, gray drizzle that soaked the driveway and made everything feel quieter than it already was. She didn't say much. A few cardboard boxes, a couple of duffel bags, and that one green suitcase she always used on our vacations. The one I used to carry for her without thinking. Now I just watched her drag it down the porch steps herself. She paused at the bottom, glanced back. I didn't say anything. She opened her mouth, maybe to speak, maybe to cry. But nothing came out. Instead, she just gave me a weak, exhausted nod, like she finally understood this wasn't a break. This was the end. I didn't celebrate. There was no victory toast. No self-congratulations. I just sat on the edge of our bed, my bed now, and listened to the house breathe again. It was still, like it had been holding its breath for months and finally exhaled. 3 weeks later, I got the divorce papers signed and filed. My attorney told me it was one of the cleanest cases she'd seen. No fighting, no pushback. Ashley didn't contest anything. She just signed and disappeared into whatever new version of herself she was trying to build. The truth is, I don't know where she went. She unfollowed me on everything. Deleted our photos. Stopped talking to mutual friends. Maybe that was her way of coping. Or maybe she couldn't stand the reflection anymore. Daniel? Gone. Rumors say he moved out west, trying to start fresh in some private consulting role. I doubt it'll stick. Guys like him always find another ladder to climb until someone else kicks it out from under them. Last I heard, his wife filed too. Good for her. And me? I stayed. Kept the house. Kept the job. Funny thing is, I got promoted. The board needed someone steady. Trustworthy. Respected. They picked me. I didn't gloat. I didn't even smile when I got the news. I just thought. Of course you did. Because when people burn everything down, they forget who helped build it in the first place. One night, a few months later, I sat out back on the porch with a beer in hand. The stars were out, crickets chirping, quiet. That's what I'd wanted all along. Not revenge, not pain, not power. Peace. Ashley once told me that real love was about forgiveness. About seeing someone at their worst and still choosing them. But love, I've learned, is also about choosing yourself when they don't. So I chose me. And that final mercy? I never told anyone about Ashley. Not the coworkers. Not the neighbors. Not even the new girl at work who I've had coffee with a few times, who asks about my divorce but never pries. I let Ashley walk away with her dignity, or whatever was left of it. Because in the end, she'll live with the truth. And I'll live free of it. That was my revenge. Not fire. Not fury. Just silence. And the sound of the door finally closing.